Hi creators, it's Claire from Stringworth and it is a new project time. I am going to be starting another cross stitch, but not any cross stitch. This one is going to be extra special because I am entering it into the Royal Easter Show and it's going to be a bookmark. So bookmark is class 38. And should I win the first prize, I will win $50. So what do we have so far? Not very much. This is the fabric. It is a 24 count even weave. So the crosses are going to be approximately 1 millimeter in size. I've quickly just gone around with a whip stitch in waste thread to stop any fraying at the edges. I have chosen my threads here, so a lime green, very bright, a forest green or a racing green even, that mid yellow green chartreuse, I think, and then a rich brown just to add some dimension beyond just green. If I should choose to embroider the background, it would be 1,000 stitches almost, because the design I have chosen is going to be 99 stitches wide by 99 stitches tall, and actually on this side should end up being around 10 centimeters, so half of that kind of in the center here would be bookmark. So my plan will be to have a little corner, you know, like those bookmarks that just kind of hook onto the page, and I will embroider that in the same design as the rest. And it's going to be a Moorish, Islamic, Moroccan-y tile design, lots of blocks of colour, so I'm hoping it's going to be easy to stitch. Plus I have until the first week in March to get these finished, so it is the second week in January, so I'm on a deadline. I want to talk briefly while I do some setting up about why I have chosen to do a bookmark. So this is the class 38 bookmark hand embroidered, and the reason I actually chose to do this is because originally I thought I would enter a knitted item, but then I realised the more time-rich people would probably have spent a long time preparing for this competition. So they could have spent months and months and months working on an item. And in knitting, that's not necessarily excessive. So my item that I have 6 weeks to complete was going to be potentially competing with these items from the time-rich people who have spent up to 12 months, let's say, working on their item. So the competition element of that was going to put me at a disadvantage. So I decided to work on a smaller project, so the bookmark, because 6 weeks is a reasonable time frame for a detailed, small scale hand embroidered item. And we'll probably break this video into a couple of parts so that you can see the progress, and then obviously see how we progress at the competition. I'm about 100 stitches in and I've already come to my first reconsideration, and it's about what stitch to use. So on the right is a traditional 2-strand cross stitch, but what's happening is it is warping the background thread. The background threads are being pushed around because they're not fixed and there is some room to move. And the thickness of the embroidery thread and the repeated nature of the stitch is creating this warping. Now the design is geometric, so warping is something I really don't want. So I've been experimenting with some different stitches, so let's bring you in closer so we can look at them better. On the top is a single strand tent stitch done diagonally, and I'm really not getting enough coverage. You can still see the background fabric. Then these middle 4 rows are just a normal cross stitch in a single strand, and that is working quite well and not creating the warping. And then the last 2, just in experimenting, is a tent stitch in 2 strands. Now these last 2 are really difficult to tell apart, and I'm very tempted to just do the tent stitch, but I remembered my competition entry form says cross stitch, and at this level of competition they will be able to tell the difference. So even though the tent stitch would be quicker, single strand cross stitch is the way to go. So I will go ahead and take all of this out and start again. Realised I'm doing this star slightly wrong and I need to figure out why. So I've unstitched back to this point, just going backwards and forwards on stitching, but I'm not quite sure what sequence these stitches went in. So I'm going to have to cut these stitches out, because effectively what I figured out was this star needed to be 1 stitch to the left. So I can fill in the missing lines on the left, the line here and then the line at the top, but I need to take out the lines that were on the right hand side. So I've had a bit of a design plan change because these ovals weren't really matching these teardrops. So I've experimented and added this corner in, so adding just 3 stitches here, which really changes the profile of that shape. But it also meant there was quite a size difference between these 2, so I've also extended this 1 stitch onto the bottom as well. So these 3, and now I'll go back and I'll just fill in the extra line and extra stitches on these 4. This is the 6-day update, and this is what having pretty much no other responsibilities looks like. Lots of progress, and you can probably start to guess how the design is going to work. So we have the star in the center with the teardrops, the smaller stars, the 5 points in brown, and then this kind of pointed-ish circle which will go in the 4 corners, and then the pattern will repeat to fill the square of the bookmark. I still do need to make a decision around if I'm going to do anything in the gap. So if I'm just going to leave that negative space as part of the design. It is the colour of background I would like, so it does seem a little bit unnecessary to add a cream stitch to a cream background. So I will make a decision on that when all the colours are done. There will be one more colour introduced, a darker green, as you saw, the fir green, which will form kind of the mirror on either side of this. But this is going to be the central section. I'm pretty happy with the progress I'm making in terms of the time. I just have to keep it up. Now I have responsibilities because we're no longer camping. So I hope you have enjoyed the glimpses of the Australian landscape. We went to the South Coast, just south of Sydney near Kiama. We'll leave that as the end of part 1. You will need to stick around for part 2 where we finish the stitching, which shouldn't be long because I am on a deadline, and then we make the bookmark, and also I will report on my progress in the competition.